Hey everybody, Nick here. Welcome back to the channel. Today will be yet another video topic request, and the topic for today will be laziness. Now it's true, I agree with this person that the term does get thrown around quite a bit. It's labeled on people who have certain conditions that don't allow them to do whatever it is that they have to do, including work. Now, you guys know my opinion about work, though it is necessary in this reality, this realm we live in order to survive, to make ends meet. I think that there is still some value in many of the jobs out there, otherwise things just simply wouldn't function. But one thing's for sure, we've all had, that sense of being lazy. Especially when we were younger, your mother would tell you to clean your room. You don't want to do it. You don't want to do that paper route like me when I was a teenager. Now, I have worked some jobs that I was actually okay with. I didn't feel lazy about going. There were days, everyone has those days and whatnot. But what is the contributing factors of laziness? There's quite a few. There could be lack of interest, fear, and this is not just with jobs, by the way. This is with anything to do with this life, okay? Low self-esteem, lack of sleep or exercise. There could be lifestyle choices like poor diet, mental health problems, genetic problems, and even genetics. It's often linked to a lack of motivation. Procrastination is one of the big things. I'm a pretty big procrastinator, and I think that's like laziness's ugly cousin. Feelings of being overwhelmed by so many things that you have to do. I know I get like that sometimes when I have to organize my things or get ready for a trip or whatever it is that I have to do, pay bills. When all these things come at once, I start getting the overwhelming feeling. And I would definitely consider procrastination as part of being lazy, but the difference between, I think, procrastination and laziness is that procrastination, you will eventually do it. It just takes a lot longer for you to do it. What could be lifestyle factors, as I mentioned? Sedentary habits where you don't feel like you have the energy to do anything. Poor diet could mean that you are lacking in a lot of essential nutrients and vitamins, which could attribute to a lot of fatigue, and especially your energy levels will be really low. I know I've been through this in the past. I went through this. If I wasn't eating properly, I would feel like crap. Poor sleep is also a big contributor of it. If you're not sleeping right, you're not eating right, how are you going to be able to get up and do the things you have to do? How are you going to do physical exercise? That's going to be impossible. You don't have the clarity as well. Now, I'm not excusing the people who are downright lazy because they just feel like they don't want to work and they would rather do nothing. They would rather play video games all day, listen to music, smoke up all day, which is their choice. It's absolutely their choice. They can do whatever they want. Society considers them, degenerate, lazy people, lazy bums. Okay, whatever. That may be so. When they expect people to pay for their things, when they expect everything to be done for them, rather than them actually wanting to go and do it themselves, it's, I don't have any remorse for those people. Another thing that could be causing laziness or procrastination would be the excessive use of social media, because you're being overstimulated. The impulse from social media can reduce motivation and focus because you're constantly having your reward centers constantly stimulated in your brain. Constant dopamine hits. So why would you need to do other things and get other things done? For me personally, when I get a lot of things done that I need to get done, I feel a kind of sense of calm and relaxation where, oh, I got it out of the way, especially when there are things that are not fun. That's for sure. So some of the mental health issues that could come up when someone is, what's causing their laziness: depression, anxiety, mental health conditions can manifest as physical symptoms, including lethargy or lethargy, however you want to pronounce it. People can feel a lack of purpose, clear goal, where your goals are not clear, your interests are not clear. This can lead to high lack of motivation and drive to do even the simplest things, just to get up to go to work, just to get up and enjoy your day, in fact. One of the big ones, and I used to feel this myself, was fear of failure. You didn't know if you were going to be able to do whatever it is you wanted to do or do well at it. For example, this YouTube channel or any other things that I've done recently in my life, like working on my own, because I used to teach English online. I've lowered the amount of classes I've been doing, but I'm still doing part-time. You just feel like you're constantly worried all the time, and unfortunately the only way to get over that is by going head on and doing the things that you want to do. Risk is part of it, okay? You're not going to succeed without risking anything, okay? That's just impossible. Now, some medical and genetic factors involved in this would be hormonal imbalances, and I'm not a doctor, I just did some of the research about this stuff. Conditions like hypothyroidism is one of those, can cause persistent low energy levels in your body. Chronic illnesses, conditions such as diabetes, can lead to fatigue and decreased activity, especially if you have, insulin resistance, which could really mess with you. I think the best way to deal with that, obviously go to your doctor, but you have to reduce sugar, you have to reduce carbs in order to reverse insulin resistance. Other factors could be lack of discipline. Simply, you just don't have the mental fortitude to deal with these things. And that's something that you learn as a younger person, okay? And it's something that really can't be taught fully. You can learn the structure of it, but I think putting it into practice is up to you. You have to have that mental discipline. That can really affect laziness and the ability to get up and do things. Being emotionally drained, and I like to call this your energy bandwidth, when it's constantly being stressed and you're constantly having to deal with problems and more problems, I think that can really impact motivation and energy levels for sure. You don't have the energy levels, you can't deal with everyday things, everyday tasks, such as your work, if you have a family, having to raise a family, dealing with any sort of thing that comes up, that arises in your life, okay? One of the things that I want to mention here, definitely, that I think is one of the worst parts of being lazy, or one of the biggest things about being lazy, is the inability or the lack of want to be more spiritually awake, or at least question things about our existence, okay? So critical thinking skills, logical thinking skills, the things of that nature, okay? I think that's honestly the worst, in my opinion, is when people just can't simply question anything. They go along with everything. They can't figure out what is going on in the world, what is really going on in the world, okay? So I would say critical thinking skills, being able to deduce what's actually going on in every certain situation, and certain situations, I meant to say. But I think that can also, I think people just don't want to go that route, because it would zap a lot of energy. It does zap a lot of energy. You got to think critically. You got to think all the possibilities of this realm, this existence, okay? So I think that's the biggest thing for me when it comes to laziness that I really dislike the most. But there's not much you can do about it. I've heard people say, oh, that really hurts my brain. I can't think about those things. If it hurts your brain, I don't think you're ever gonna get out of that. Now, I want to think of solutions, and I don't know if this is going to help you when it comes to regular tasks, not to be lazy about those, or thinking critically. The only thing that I can really say is you have to get proper rest, okay? You have to eat properly. I'm not saying these are guarantees, but it does make a huge difference. If you combine them, at least this is my experience, it's worked for me. Getting proper rest, going to bed at a proper time, avoiding, things like coffee, caffeine, so stimulants, eating the right diet, like getting your vitamins and nutrients. If that means supplementing, so be it. You also have to take breaks. You can't make life all about resolving problems and doing tasks, working your ass off all the time. You need to have time off. Now, I want to talk about the point where the person who requested this video, how this term gets thrown out around a lot, and probably way too much, okay? You see that when someone is unemployed or they lost their job, in an honest way, not where this person's just simply doesn't want to work, so they're not going to work. That's their choice if they want to do that. And society, especially the older generations, will really come down hard on them. And I don't like that. I think that that's really unjust and should be, and that's usually coming from people who don't know somebody. They judge someone just based on their situation. They look at the person, oh, they're homeless, or they're this or that. Just because they don't want to work. That's not always the case. This life now, this world is getting harder every day, more and more each day. And things are getting expensive. Jobs aren't paying enough for people. Certain things happen in people's lives. You don't know what's going on in other people's lives. So to throw that word saying they're just lazy, it's a cop-out, in my opinion. It's an absolute cop-out. Yes, there are people in society who don't want to work, who just simply don't want to work. And for some of the reasons that I mentioned in this video, some just simply, they don't give a fuck. They don't want to do it. They don't want to work. They want to leech off the system and do drugs all day or drink all day. And there are a lot of people who are like that. But there are also people who genuinely are looking for a job. They want to work. And even though no one really wants to work, okay? I mean, everyone could be doing something better. Everyone has something better to be doing, right? But it's necessary, sadly, in this realm, in order to make ends meet, to keep a little bit busy. There's older folk who will work well into their retirement years, because if they stop, they probably will die. They want something to do. And people will say, well, there's other things they can do. Yes and no. You have to have the money to be able to do things. And what if this person's not in the best health, but they're able to still do whatever small job it is that they're doing to help them survive and just keep going, to keep moving. I've noticed that with a lot of senior citizens, that once they stop, after retirement, unless they keep themselves busy somehow, it goes downhill real fast. So people who throw that term that they're just lazy and, fuck off. You don't know what this person's going through. You don't know that this person may have went through university and now is owing a ton of money and can't find a job in the area that they studied in, okay? It is a really tough world that we're in. This realm is harsh, and it really punishes those who are genuinely good persons, good spirits here, who just want to live their lives and make a living. Now, think twice next time before if you're one of those people who just, throws that term out there. I think that it's just really ignorant, and it's not right. But anyways, I hope you guys got something out of this video regarding laziness. One thing I will mention, it's okay to be a little lazy every once in a while, okay? Every now and again. Just to relax and I don't mean lazy, just don't do anything at all and ever again. But we all need those days to just chill out, okay? And I think they call them lazy days. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate all of you, and we'll see you in the next video very soon. Bye for now.